Hi, everyone. My name is Skylar Inman, and I'm a producer with Israel Story. Thank you all so much for coming to IsraPalooza so far. It's been a pretty wild ride getting everything put together in the past 2 weeks with our team, but we're so happy to have such amazing turnout today, and we're really thrilled with our lineup. Most of all, I'm thrilled with our next guest, Lucy Aharish. This conversation today between Lucy and I is brought to you by the I Center, which is an organization you should all check out online. And just a reminder before I get started with Lucy, we would love to hear your questions as audience members. And if you would like to pose a question, go ahead and do that through the Q&A option instead of directly through the chat. Once you submit through the Q&A, a moderator will look at your question, and you should see the Q&A box either at the top or the bottom of your screen, depending on your Zoom settings. Once you submit it there, a moderator will take a look and will let you know if we've chosen your question. You'll have the option to raise your hand in the chat, and that will mean that we will call you up to actually ask the question live on video or audio, depending on your preferences. If you just like to submit it via text, that's totally fine too. And the questions will be passed to me and I'll ask Lucy myself. So without any further ado, we've got Lucy here. And if you're not familiar with Lucy yet, I think I should just start by saying that she's a hard woman to sum up in one sentence. It would be an understatement to say that she's a multi-talented woman. In 2007, she was hired by Israel's Channel 10 and became the first Arab citizen to present the news on mainstream Israeli television. From there, her star has sort of just been continuing to rise. She's presented and anchored on a number of television channels, including Reshet 13, Channel 2, I-24 News, Channel 1, and Kan. She's interviewed a huge variety of amazing and fascinating people herself, including past presidents of Israel. She's also an actress, a very powerful and persuasive public speaker. And although I'm not sure she would describe herself as a professional singer, she's also been known to perform a song every now and then with her husband, who is the Israeli actor Tzachi Halevi, whom our audience members might know from his role as now in the popular TV show Fauda, which is on Netflix. So if you have been as of yet unfamiliar with Lucy Aharish before tonight, I hope that by the end of our conversation this evening, you'll have as much admiration for her as I do. So without any further ado, welcome, Lucy, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello. Good to be here. Thank you very much, Skylar, for having me and inviting me. And thank you very much for staying to listen to this conversation. Happy Yom Ha'atzmaut, happy Independence Day.
Happy Yom Ha'atzmaut.
Yeah, which is very weird to celebrate this way, especially these days. But yeah, it's taking like another takeoff, all these celebration of the Independence Day here in Israel.
Totally. Everything has become a new version of something that we're familiar with. So today we're all celebrating in our apartments. I've been hearing my neighbors all day playing music from their balconies and stuff. So I think people are finding a way.
Karaoke, of course.
Yeah.
Very as well.
There you go. So before we get started, I think I wanted my first question to be that you've spent your entire career interviewing people. So does it feel weird to be on the other side of the interview?
No, actually I'm very comfortable with people interviewing me because I'm really outspoken and I have no problem of answering everything because basically my life is out there and I speak about almost everything. So sometimes it surprises my husband that I speak about everything. He says, you don't have to say everything on camera. You just leave something to yourself, but it just comes out of me. It's my personality. I never keep something in, and for the good. Sometimes it's for the good, and sometimes for the bad. It's not always playing in my benefit, my big mouth. But yeah, I'm all out there. That was basically part of the reasons why he said, everybody's asking me, how did you two meet? So we met, which is, I'm going like to tell you this because not a lot of people
You
know
saved me
this.
a question.
Yeah, I'm not interviewed. I wasn't interviewed about our meeting, but we met actually in Avi Sakharov's 40th birthday, which is Avi Sakharov, from whom, for the people who don't know who he is, he's one of the writers of Fauda. and he celebrated his 40th birthday, and I came there. I didn't want to go to the to this birthday because I was too tired, and my friend told me, well, you know, Avi's been planning this birthday like for a decade now, so we have to go. And I went there, and I was dancing with somebody else, and that one was like, he was one of my friends, one of my colleagues. Tzachi thought that I was with him. At a certain point, I started watching, like, I saw that Tzachi's looking at me, and I realized that he doesn't want to approach, but he is looking at me all the time. So I did, like, I took a glass of wine and I did, like, come over. It's okay. It's like, do something in the name of God. He actually sent me a friend request on Facebook like two
Stop.
months before, and he didn't do anything about it. Like, I did accept, and he didn't do anything about it. And then 2 months after we met at this birthday, and then I took the glass. I told him, like, you can approach, and he didn't come. Like, he did like the same, gesture with the glass. And I went to talk with him. And the first thing that came out of his mouth was, "Oh my God, wow, it's so amazing to see the same person on TV that he is like in real life the same way." And it was like, you know,
Were you like,
and
that's the lamest possible way you could introduce yourself to me?
yeah, yeah. But it was sweet also because he's don't like, you have the same personality on TV as in real life. And, since then, we're almost celebrating 7 years together.
Mazal tov, that's amazing.
Yeah. On July. Always,
Congratulations.
it's always going to be, thank you. It's always going to be on Avi's birthday. So we cannot
Well,
forget.
in a
Yeah.
way, you sort of owe him for the relationship, I
Yeah,
suppose.
definitely. Definitely. He got to like a lot of it. Like, he will tell you his side of the story, because then he will tell you how, when he asked us, is there something going on between you two? I saw something in my birthday, and both of us, that we are both, talkable people, and we're talking all the time. We started mumbling something, and we said, no, no, we were just,
You
and
guys are such good actors.
yeah, very, very much so.
That's amazing. Well, we definitely want to make it back to your relationship because I love both of you guys. I'm a huge fan of both of you individually. So I was
Thank you.
probably cheering when I found out that you guys were dating, or I guess that I found out that you guys got married. But first, I was thinking maybe we could go back and talk a little bit about your life before you were on TV, since some of our audience members might be meeting you for the first time today.
Yeah.
I think in general, people tend to think of Israel's population as very, very diverse, but sort of a bit separated in terms of where families live and raise their children. But for you, that was not the case. You actually, or rather, it was the case for you. You grew up in a Muslim family in the city of Dimona, which people, again, might not be familiar with. It's not exactly on the tourist path
According to
of
foreign
Israel.
press, we have a certain facility there.
So
Just
it's
according to foreign
it's
press.
a destination of sorts. But I was wondering if you could describe a little bit about what it was like growing up in Dimona, which is about 90% Jewish, if I'm not mistaken.
It's almost 95% Jewish. It's basically it's a Jewish traditional, like, city, which is in the south of Israel, in the Negev Desert. It was quite an experience, I have to say, because we were the only Arab Muslim family in the city. Throughout the years, there were some other families, one Christian and another one Muslim, but they came and went like every now and then. But we stayed there, and my parents are still living there for the last 44 years, 45 years now. So they've been living in Dimona more than they lived originally in their hometown, which is Nazareth. It was very interesting because you grow up and you go to school as the only Muslim child in school, which is not a walk in the park, especially with when you're in a traditional Jewish city. More, let's say, I can say that it's more right wing than left wing. I grew up above the Likud Center in Dimona. Like our apartment was right above the Likud Center in Dimona, which is very funny because it's like you grow up on certain aspects, very specific aspects of Israeli society. But for me, in every bad thing, there is a good thing. But I don't see me growing up in Dimona as a bad thing. Some of the experiences that I experienced in Dimona were not easy because, I'm used to say that children are mean. And I have to say that children are not mean. We educate children to be mean. It's not like some people, children like getting out and saying to the world, like the first day that they are born, they're saying, oh, I hate Jews. It doesn't work like that. We educate kids to hate Jews. We educate kids, we put ideas in their minds. The same goes on the other side. There's no such thing as a kid that coming out and says, I hate Arabs. It doesn't work like that. Or I hate Muslims. It doesn't work like that. We educate kids to hate Muslims or Christians or whatever, because kids are basically really naive and really good, and we have the responsibility to give them the education about the society that we're living in. So for me, school was it wasn't easy because as a kid you don't understand why kids are. I remember my mom, the day before I went to the first grade, she set me down for a chat. And I was sitting down, and my mom was already very experienced with my other sisters. I have two other sisters. One of them is 47 and the other one is 46, and I'm 39 almost. And my mom was already well known with what is happening and what I'm going to experience in school. And she sat me down and she told me, listen, Lucy, I want you to remember this conversation and put it like really, really strongly in your head and plant it in your head. I want you to remember that no matter what people are telling you, no matter how much you're going to be beaten up, no matter how much people are going to curse you, I want you to remember that you're Arab, that you're Muslim, that you're Israeli, and that you are really, really proud of it. And for 5.5 years old, a day before you're going to the first grade, you say to yourself, what? What does she want? I want to know, what am I going to wear tomorrow? What are you talking with me about Muslim and Arab and Israeli, and be proud of it? It's like a huge conversation for 5.5 years old.
Huge.
And I didn't understand back then why it was very important for my mom to have this conversation, especially and specifically at this time. But when I was like growing up, I understood why. That same summer, we went through a terror attack on the Gaza Strip. And I witnessed everything. I was with my parents. We were driving down the Gaza Strip. I was me, my father, my mom, my uncle, his wife, and one of his sons, one of his kids.
What year is this?
It was at 87. It was the beginning of the first Intifada. And it was a Saturday morning. The Intifada already, it was really, really the beginning. The security situation was not that good. But we drove there because a lot of Israelis used to go to the Gaza Strip to do some shopping and, buy groceries. And it was like a regular place to go and hang out. And, there's a karma, like the thing that you sense when you get into a place and everything says you should not be here. So we went that Saturday, and we went to the supermarket, and the supermarket was closed. We went to the beach, and the beach was like, the guy that sold my mom fish was sick that day. And then we went to like the small store where my mom used to buy perfume and clothes and stuff like that. And the guy was just about to close the store, and my father is asking him, why everything is like closed, nobody's on the streets. And he told him, well, the security situation is not that good, and people are talking about an intifada, but you know what, you made it all the way from Dimona, I will open up the shop for you. And I remember that we didn't find anything, and I remember that every single time that I went to this store, I asked my mom for one thing. I asked my mom, "Mom, I want red nail polish," and she always said no. And that day, I tried my luck again, and I told her, "Mom, can I have red nail polish?" And she told me, "You know what? Just take it." And I took the red nail polish and I went back to the car. They couldn't find anything, and just they came back to the car. And just when we were about to leave, the guy, the owner of the shop, came to my father and he told him, "Just do me a favor. Until you're getting out of Gaza, just close the windows and put something, put a sign, put a Quran, put an Arabic newspaper on the dashboard, so people will know." And my father told him, "People will know what? What are you talking about?" He told him, "You have a yellow license plate. You have an Israeli license plate. People might confuse you with you being Jewish." And my father looked at him and he told him, "Just khali Allah, leave it to God." And we started driving and we hit traffic. And, it was really hot. And my father opened the windows and I was sitting right next to the window. And I remember looking outside and everybody were laughing and talking inside the car. My cousin was just was standing in the middle. He was 2 years younger than me. I was 5 years old, just 5 and 3 months. And I remember looking outside and I saw like a figure getting closer and closer to the car. And this guy, he was really tall and he was really thin, and he had some scars on his face, and he had like black curly hair. And I looked at him and he fascinated me, but at the same time I was really scared. So I don't know, and I didn't know why, because I saw something in his hand and I didn't understand what I saw. So I started like scrolling down my seat, and my mom looked at me and she told me, "Lucy, sit straight." And I didn't look at her, and I just looked outside, and I saw him getting closer and closer, and I started like scrolling down even deeper into the seat. And my mom is yelling like, "Lucy, sit straight." And the third time, and I looked like directly in his eyes, and he looked directly in my eyes. He was standing right next to the car. And the third time that my mom like shouted, "Lucy," there was a huge blast in the car, like two Molotov cocktails, one inside the car, one outside. The second thing that I remember was my face hitting the ground. I lift myself up. I see my mom crying. I look at my uncle's wife. She's screaming to death. And I was looking up and I saw my cousin going into flames and my father is trying to put down the fire. And I saw the screaming of my father. Like at that specific moment, the first thing that I was looking for was, where is my red nail polish? Because I didn't want to understand or digest what is the situation that I'm in at this specific moment. And I remember the screaming of my father. My father is telling people, "We're Arabs like you, we're Muslims, please help us." And nobody's helping us. And of course, after 20 minutes or 15 minutes, there were a lot of people that the security forces got in and took us out. And for me, since that day, I hated Palestinians. And I said it out loud. I said, "I hate Palestinians. I think they should die. I think that we should bomb them. I think we should kill them." And my extended family started saying to my father, "Your daughter hates us. Your daughter hates herself. You need to do something about us." And my father told them, "Well, she went through something. And I believe that when she will grow up, she will understand that life is not that black and white. And she will understand that life is a little bit more complicated than she thinks." So for my mom to have this conversation throughout the years, I understood why this conversation was really important for my mom. Just before I'm going to the first grade, just before, like after the terror attack that I went through, it was very important for my mom to give me the feeling that I have to be proud with who I am, and not to be ashamed of who I am, not to be ashamed with the fact that I'm Muslim, not to be ashamed with the fact that I'm Arab, and not to be ashamed with the fact, of course, that I'm Israeli. And I went to the first grade, and the first day, and the teacher is asking, no, what's your name? What's your name? What's your name? And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And she's like, yes, Lucy, what's your name? Yes, what's your name? And I'm like, I'm Lucy. I'm Arab. I'm Muslim. I'm Israeli, and I'm proud. And I said it like at the beginning of every class that day, at the second day, and at the third day. And at the fourth day, I started getting beaten up, but really, really beaten up, like, torn books, torn notebooks. And I couldn't understand why, like, the kids hate me, because I said to myself, they don't know me. They don't know who I am. They don't know, like, where I'm coming from. So why they hate me? And like I told you, kids are not mean. Kids are educated to be mean. So I understood that me being an Arab and saying it and being proud of it was some kind of a okay to for other children's to be me, and for other children to be me, and for other people to mock at me and to think that I'm not okay. So, as a kid, I tried all my best to make the kids love me and like me, and show them that the fact that I'm Arab and I'm Muslim is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, because I have to be excellent in everything, and I have to be successful in everything. And I have to show you that being an Arab is not something, it's not a minus, it's an advantage. And being an Arab Muslim, it's an advantage, and being an Arab Muslim Israeli is an advantage. And it wasn't easy. It was like that, and for a period of time, like preschool, like school was okay until the sixth grade, and then in high school, things are starting to, we're growing up, teenagers. It's the 90s in Israel. The 90s in Israel, it's not an easy time, because a lot of terror attacks occurred in the 90s in Israel. So you get all the flame like back, because you're the only Arab Muslim in school, and hey, the people who are doing the terror attacks are Palestinians and they're Arabs. So you know what? You're a filthy Arab, and we don't want you here. So it was like, it was good for 80% of the time, but for 20% of the time, it was hell. But for 80% of the time, I met amazing, beautiful human beings that forever will stay in my heart and left a mark in my life that nobody can thank them. If it's my school principal, if it's my neighbor, it's our neighbors that in the neighborhood, that one of them was a Holocaust survivor, and he was like my grandfather, because I didn't know my grandfathers. They died before I was born. And for me, Menachem was my grandfather. So, it was amazing. Like, I won't replace my life in any way, in any other place in the world, in any second. But like everyone, like I believe that you didn't have, like, all your childhood was not like amazing and flowers and roses and everything was amazing. No, every child has his own experience, and
Sure.
mine was a little bit different.
Sure. We have a question from the audience. Someone wants to know how your parents provided you with sort of an education about the Arab social world and about Muslim education when you were growing up in Dimona. Who inspired you as a young adult?
I think that my parents, the beautiful thing with my parents is that give they didn't give me like only Muslim education. They gave me all kinds of education. Like, if it's, of course, in school we studied the traditional Jewish education, like traditional Jewish Torah. We studied Tanakh, and I was Ima Shel Shabbat in my preschool. It's like, and I insisted on being Ima Shel Shabbat. And if you come to my mom in Pesach, you will feel that you are like in a kosher house, because my mom is the first woman to buy all the groceries of Pesach at her house. It's amazing, because us Arabs, we love matzah. It's amazing. We call it like the Jewish cracker. We love it. But it's for us. They gave me the opportunity to study about everything and to learn everything until a certain point. I think until I was 27, I fasted Ramadan. I stopped fasting Ramadan at the age of 27 because I felt that I'm complaining too much throughout the fast, because I said, okay, you cannot fast and complain. It doesn't work. If you're not fasting and you feel like really truly want to fast, just don't do it. Because if you want to just mark like, a check and say, oh, I fasted Ramadan, and then you cursed all day and you said, oh, fuck, I cannot believe that I'm actually fasting this day. It's like since 4:30 in the morning until 8:30 in the evening. So don't do it. So I'm not fasting Ramadan in the last 10 years, but they gave me the opportunity to experience everything and to know everything. For me, my father and my mom and my dad were not traditional. They are not religious. So my mom is not wearing a hijab or something. They're traditional Muslims. They are fasting Ramadan and celebrating the 2 holidays that we have. And that's it. But we always were, every single Purim, I dressed up as a kid as Queen Esther. Every single Purim. Really, it was like my way to try to show the kids that I'm like one of the guys. And every single Purim, I dressed up like Queen Esther. And I remember that my mom came one day, like one year, and she told me, okay, maybe a clown. Just maybe try Japanese.
Anything but Esther.
Anything but Queen Esther. And in one of the interviews, people like the journalist asked me, going, do you understand that you dressed up like Queen Esther? Like you dressed up like, it's just, I don't understand where you're going with that. It's like, what do you want to say? Tell me, well, Queen Esther is the symbol of the Jewish people that fought with the Maccabees and the Greeks and the Persian and whatever. And no, I was a child and I was a little girl and I wanted to be a queen. Now I had 2 options. I had Queen Esther and Queen Vashti. Somebody told me that Vashti was ugly. So it just kept me with Esther. Like I didn't have any other choice. So, I experienced almost everything. It's like, for me, I'm so lucky to have parents that never told me, no, this you cannot do because we are Muslims. This you cannot celebrate because we're, until today, I'm like, for the last 5 years, we've been celebrating Leila Seder every Pesach at Tzachi's house. And I'm sitting there and I'm reading the Agadah. And like everyone, and when it comes to me, it's amazing. Like every time, like I get the sentence of Shfoch Hamatcha al Hagoyim.
I got that this year, and I'm not Jewish. It's always that way.
So I got it, and I'm not Jewish, and everybody are like really laughing. But and this year, because we did it like Zoom and everything, we were supposed to host an hour because we moved to a new apartment, and we were supposed to host like the first Arab Jewish Leila Seder. I was supposed to invite my parents and Tzachi's parents, and we were
a real Thanksgiving meal sort of situation.
Yeah, like to have here a Leila Seder, like a proper Leila Seder, and unfortunately everything happened. So we did a Zoom, and it was fun also. So I can send you the pictures of my beautiful, beautiful table of Leila Seder.
Yes. Please do. We'll share it with everyone. So one question I have is that in my preparations for our conversation, I went back and I watched a bunch of old interviews that you did. And I stumbled upon one that you did back in 2013 when you were an anchor at I-24 at the evening edition. You were interviewing an up-and-coming stage actor and musician who was just breaking into movies with his recent role in the movie Bethlehem.
And you're interested if we knew one another back then. We were in a relationship.
Yes, I'm just wondering if when you interviewed your future husband on live television, if you were already in a relationship.
I started sweating. Okay, we knew one another. It's like we were, I think, for dating for we didn't call it dating. It's like it takes a while for guys to understand that they're in a relationship. So they're like saying, okay, we're hanging out, like, so I'm not in a relationship. Don't say that I'm in a relationship. God forbid. So we were like hanging out for 3 months, I think, and then Bethlehem came out, and like he got the Ophir award, like the Oscar, the Israeli Oscar, for his best role as in his best, like for his role in on Bethlehem. And I invited him. Believe me, I was like, hanging out with Tahi, but he sent me to his agent to close up the interview. He told me, well,
Very professional.
yeah, I cannot close the interview, so just talk with my agent. Are you kidding me? Really? It's like, we're like here on my sofa and you're sending me to your agent. Wow, this is fun.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I got the interview, and I was really professional in this interview. It's like, you saw the interview. We had like,
He was smiling at you in a pretty meaningful way.
smiling, and I was smiling at him, and we were like, connecting.
It was a good interview.
It was very interesting because it was also my way to know more things about him, because we were at the beginning of the relationship, and I said,
would you recommend this as a dating move for people to interview their potential partner?
Put a camera if you're like at the beginning of the 3 months, like 6 months, just put a camera, tell him I'm doing an interview with you. Okay, it's like good. It does amazing things to the relationship.
Amazing. So back when you were doing that interview with Safi, one of the questions you asked him, he was at the time he was moving from mainly acting on stage and doing music to being in front of the camera on a movie. And you asked him, how does it feel to be moving from a live audience to being in front of a camera? How did that feel? And you have spent most of your career in front of a camera on TV, but recently you've actually moved to a slightly different kind of camera. You have starred in a really amazing TV show, which I don't know if it's made it to the international stage yet. It's called Kvodo, which in English is Your Honor.
And it's got the American version with ABC, I think.
It's still in production, right?
Yeah, it's in production, and Bryan Cranston is playing the head role, like the leading role.
Very exciting. So I was wondering if I could ask you the same question. What was it like to move in front of a different kind of camera?
Wow. For me, acting, first of all, I really, really wanted to be an actress. This is what I wanted. I majored in high school in theater. So I wanted to be an actress. And I said, okay, I'm going to an acting school. I want to go to acting school. And I said to my parents, I'm going to Tel Aviv. And my father just sat me down and told me, listen, young lady, you are not going to do anything like that got to do with acting, and I'm not paying for it. You want to go study something that you can earn money from, and then do anything that you want with your hobbies. Well, I went and studied journalism, which, what do you know? You make a lot of money in Israel from journalism. What can I say? But I studied journalism. And after 2 years, I think after a year that I worked in Channel 10 at the beginning of my career, it was 13 years ago. Oh my God. So after a year and something, I left, and I had like this 2 years that I started like exploring everything, because it took me a while to go back into the media and to go back into journalism. And I said, okay, I will go and work for a show that is like E-News, Guy Penis. Yeah, guys, I said it correctly. It's Penis. This is his name. And I worked there for 3 seasons, for 3 years, something like that. And I started like going and auditioning. And I got a role on a telenovela, like a TV, soap opera, and like a small role in Arab labor and Avodah Aravit, and a small role there. But for me, it was never, because I love acting. I really love acting. When I go to an audition, it's like, for me, if I went to the audition and I didn't get the part, I'm happy that I went to the audition, because the experience for me is oh my God, I went for an audition. Even if I didn't get the part, it's like, I'm so excited, because it's not my profession. It's like, it's my hobby. And if I get a role, I get a role. If I don't get it, I don't get it. I'm not bummed about it. But for me, it's like, I see like, I remember the first day that I went on, like the first day of shooting, that I went on Your Honor, the first season. I see all the actors are like complaining, and oh my God, I have so many lines, and please leave me. And everybody's like, it's a big, huge thing. And I was like, are you kidding me? It's not even work. You don't work, you play. It's like, it's for me, it's a vacation day. It's like,
How does Tzachi feel about that opinion of acting?
He actually agrees with me, because he tells me every time that he's like filming a new show or a new film, he said, I cannot believe that somebody's paying me to study, like to learn some lines, and to do fun and act in front of a camera. I cannot believe that somebody's actually paying me for this. And he looks at it at this like the same perspective that I look at it. Of course, for him, it's his profession, but it's not only his profession, because Tzachi started as a singer. And for him, he's first of all a singer and then an actor. So he looks at it as an experience, and he's always at the same, coming really very, very excited and emotional for every single show and film that he's filming. So, I think that it comes when he didn't study in schools, like drama school or acting school. So when you're in, I think that this is like one of the peripherals that of somebody who's not studying acting or something, that he
Sure, when you come at it from that angle.
Yes, and it's only something that just it's from the inside, and you just live it. So for me, it's I love it. It's like, it's a fun day.
That's amazing. So you and Tzachi are both so multi-talented. You guys are constantly doing tons of projects. You're on TV, you're in movies and the news and all kinds of things. You're a great public speaker. So I'm wondering, what exactly do you guys have planned for the future? I saw something on Facebook. You guys helped produce a video recently to inspire people during Corona. Like, what do you guys have in the works?
We basically, I've been since my show was went off air a year and a half ago, like around a year and a half ago. I'm not working in like on a routine basis in here in Israel. Some people are asking me, why is that? And I say, well, I think that unfortunately we're living in a period of time where when you are saying the things that I'm saying, or saying the truth about the way that we're living and the situation that we're living in, sometimes the truth is something that is not comfortable for some people to listen to. And sometimes you're paying a price for the truth, and you're paying a price for saying things that people don't want to hear or don't want to listen. So I think that with all the experience that I have, 13 years of career that I built, I'm finding it very difficult to find a job in Israel as a journalist. And this is why I'm doing a lot of things like as a freelance, and I'm doing a lot of projects, but I'm an optimistic. I know that yes, I'm an optimistic, and on the other side, I'm not willing to shut up. I'm not a person who is sitting aside and taking his head, putting my head down and saying, okay, so I won't say these things, so people will take me to their channel, or people will give me a job. No, I think that there are a lot of people and a lot of things that the media, unfortunately, in the last few years is not doing. And it's like, I think it's an international phenomenon that the media is not actually doing its job. And a lot of journalists are really afraid to say some things and to say things that are happening because they're afraid to lose their jobs. Right. So unfortunately, I'm saying it. This is not the place that I want to bring children to. I don't want to bring children to this world where they will be afraid to say who they are and what they are and where they're coming from, and to to stand, like to see injustice and to say, oh, I'm not watching it, I'm not seeing it, because if I will say something about this injustice, I will end up like people taking me out or shutting my mouth or firing me. No, I don't want to bring children to this kind of world, and this is why I have to fight this fight. So if I'm paying the price for now, and every now and then I'm like that. It's like I'm working for 7 years and then something comes, and then I'm like off air for 2 years or 2 and something years, and then I'm coming back, and it's my mom sometimes tell me, Lucy, just please shut up. Shut up. Just stop. Just, you don't have to say every single thing that comes up in your mind. Just shut up. And I can't. I can, because if I see something, if I see injustice, it's the Independence Day today. For me, the Independence Day is very special. 5 years ago, I led the torch on Israeli Independence Day. I led the torch for my fight against racism and my fight for pluralistic ideas and views in the state of Israel. And I remember just before I lit the torch, I remember that, there is this question among journalists that comes and tell the Arab person who is, or the Arab or the Druze, like the Muslim or the Christian or the Druze that are lighting the torch, they're always asking the same question. Will you be able to say the sentence for the glory of the state of Israel at the end? And of course, I will say the sentence for the glory of the state of Israel. It's of course, I want my state to be glorified. I want my state to be a symbol and an example for the entire world. And I know that the day that I said this sentence for the glory of the state of Israel, for my fight against racism and pluralistic ideas and views in the Israeli society, I signed a contract. I signed a contract with the Israeli society, and I cannot back from this contract. I cannot back down from it, because backing down from this contract is backing down from my country, is giving up on my country. And the fact that I criticize things that are happening in my country, and I criticize the government, and I criticize the prime minister, it doesn't mean that I don't love my country. It doesn't mean that I won't do anything for my country. I believe that every one of our viewers who are all over the planet, that are like in London or the United States or France or whatever, I believe that they have some criticism about the place that they're living in. It doesn't mean that they don't love the place that they're living in. It doesn't mean that they don't love their country. It's like I'm saying, loving your country is like loving your parents. You love your parents to death. You will do anything for your parents. You will fight for your parents no matter what. But sometimes you don't agree always with your parents. And sometimes you say, okay, I will raise my children in a little bit different way than the way that my parents raised me. It doesn't mean that you don't love your parents. The fact that you're criticizing your parents, it doesn't mean that you don't love them, that you won't fight for them. The same thing goes for the country. I love my country. I respect my country. I will fight for my country all over the world. But I have criticism about what is happening in the Israeli society. And I'm not willing to shut up, because some people are telling me, say thank you that we're letting you live in the state of Israel and we're letting you speak. No, because you're Arab, you're Muslim, and in any other country, you could have been dead, or somebody could have like killed you because your views. I don't live in any other country. I don't live in Egypt. I don't live in Lebanon. I don't live in Syria, and I don't live in Jordan. I live in Israel. I'm a citizen of the state of Israel, which is the only democracy in the Middle East. So as a citizen in a democratic country, I will say what I have to say. And if I see injustice in the Israeli society, I will say it, and I will put a spot on it, because it doesn't mean that I'm a traitor in my country. It means that my country means a lot to me. And this is why I will do anything to glorify it, because I want the glory of the state of Israel.
Beautifully said. We're getting a ton of notifications from the audience, many of who were asking something along the same lines, which is, how can we see some of your work in English? Some people are asking, are you going to ever write a book? Because I would read it. Any thoughts on where our audience can find you online after this, and if they can wait for
Uh,
your words in print?
for now, I am like on Facebook in Hebrew, but I hope that very, very soon we are going with a very exciting project of a Democrat TV with Darkenu, which is a Israeli movement, political citizen movement, not bipartisan. And basically, which is this movement is looking to bring all the parts in Israel together: right, left, Arabs, Jews, Muslim, Christians, Druze, all of the, like, to bring us closer a little bit together. And I hope that this project will start flourishing and start like we're building it these days. So I hope that our plans are also to broadcast there in English. So I hope that you will be able to hear me there. I don't know if my English is good enough for
Your English is
international
amazing. It's plenty good enough. You should be replacing you should be replacing some native English speakers, I think. Well, that's amazing. We have a question from someone in the audience named Eric Lippman, who is wondering, might Lucy ever consider a run for the Knesset? We might want a fourth set of elections under such a circumstance.
Oh, so I think that we are going for the fourth round here, which is, fun. It's amazing.
We have a saying that like the third time's the charm, but I don't think we have a saying yet for the fourth.
No. I think the fifth time is the charm here, but it's like, it's crazy. I never, never when I said something or when I spoke about anything, I never thought that this monologue that I'm doing right now, or these things that I'm saying right now, are going to be, it's like some kind of road to my way to the Knesset or to my way to politics. I'm a worried citizen. That's it. I never thought about politics because I see what is happening in politics, and I have to tell you, I'm a little bit disgusted. And I know that it's again, it's not only Israeli phenomena. It's I see such a resemblance between Israel and the United States. It's amazing. I see like the same phenomena that is happening in Israel, like happening in Israel. It's happening in the United States. It's unbelievable. But I'm not considering like going to politics because it's very dirty, and I don't want to be in this kind of politics. And I know that politics need good people to go in and change it, but for now, going into politics, it doesn't mean only that you are going into politics. It means that your entire family is going into politics. And the things that the Israeli political campaign, like for the last 3 rounds, it was really, really, really disgusting. It went to like like every time that I said to myself, oh, this cannot go any lower than that, and it did. Like if people were talking about affairs or relationships about the candidate, like it was actually the House of Cards. We had like every single day an episode of House of Cards, without the death, but without the killings, but it was so disgusting and so not it's not. I have respect for the Knesset. I have respect for politics. And in the last year, I'm losing my respect towards politicians and to every single thing that they are representing. I don't want to be represented by that. And more than that, I don't believe that I finished my role on Israeli media. I don't think that I finished my role in the media, because I said it like a few days ago. There is a phrase in Hebrew that says that media is the watchdog of democracy. And unfortunately, in the last few years, we've been like the puppy of democracy. We're not the watchdog anymore. We're not doing really, like, not all of us are doing our job. And the ones who are doing their job are paying a really huge price for doing their job. And I am not willing to leave the ground or leave the stage for people who wants to put through only one message out there. There are a lot of messages out there, and there are a lot of, views that need to be put back into the stage. And we need to, unfortunately, with this era that we're living in and the social media era that we're living in one way or another, we gave up to bullies because for such a long time we said, I am not going to answer him because this is like not for my level. So, it's down. It's going very down, and I'm not going to answer this. I will let him just say whatever he wants, and I'm not planning to. And I'm planning to ignore it. Ignoring the bullies gave them the power to rule today. Ignoring the bullies and saying, oh, we should not, pay attention to this stupid people or stupid person, or, oh, there's no chance that he will be anything in the future. And saying this to ourselves, it's kidding ourselves. Because basically, when we said that, we ignored reality and we ignored the bullies, and we were just pushed out of the stage. And the bullies just are controlling the media today, and they're controlling every single thing that is happening right now, and they're controlling the conversation that we are having with one another. It's like, and you're saying to yourself, oh my God, I cannot believe that this person just said that. Of course he will say it, because he have all the power to say it. And we preferred to stay silenced. We were silenced because we thought that we are better. We're not better. When with the fact that we're not talking and we're not saying anything, we're just standing aside, we are part of this. And I'm not willing to shut up anymore, because history is not, it's Albert Einstein that said that his history is evil is not by the people who did things, is by the people who were standing aside doing nothing, and they were silenced about everything that has happened. I'm not willing to be a peaceful majority. Okay, I'm a peaceful majority, but I'm a peaceful silent majority. And if I'm a peaceful majority but I'm silenced, I'm not doing anything.
We hope that you continue talking, because you have a really amazingly strong voice. And I think that note that you're ending on right now, in terms of the bully, it actually brings your entire life story sort of into focus for me, in terms of where you began with the bullies in school and where you are now. And I'm very thankful that whatever happened to you, you learned to use your voice and to not stop. And I think we're all really thankful that you're using it.
Thank you, Skylar. It was great, and happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence Day. Thanks so much for talking with me.
Thank you. I hope that next year everyone will be able to celebrate with their loved ones like really close to them.
Much closer together.
Yeah,
much closer together.
Closer.
Thank you so much. And for our audience who have been demanding to see more of you, we'll send them some links of where they can see you online. And I would just recommend, before I get off, that the way that I found Lucy was through this amazing old series that she did in Hebrew, where she would be interviewed by and interview children. And I think that would be a great place to start if you know Hebrew. And if not, we'll send you some English stuff too.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Lucy.
Thank you very much for the honor to speak in front of you. It was great. Happy Independence Day and Yom Ha'atzmaut Sameach. I love you all. Take care.
Thank you, Lucy.
תודה, לוסי. חג שמח.
חג שמח.
Okay, so thank you all, and thank you, Skylar, for that wonderful interview with Lucy, who really exemplifies ideas of what it means to be an active citizen, which is something I think we can all relate to. And at a moment when it's often complicated, no matter where you live, to feel proud and patriotic for all kinds of reasons. I think Lucy's a good reminder of how one can love one's country and still be critical and active, and a strong voice. So thank you so much, Skylar. Thank you, Lucy.